Welcome to our next episode of the NBR Podcast Summer Series, and this one is our first to drop in 2025. So to mark the new year, in the chair is someone who likes to tell a story, my colleague, long-suffering friend, Mike McRoberts, who is also NBR's first Te Ao Māori editor. Welcome, Mike.
Tēnā koe, Simon. Lovely to be here.
It's great to have you in. Look, this is a chance for you to tell us what the biggest stories are of your time here at NBR, but I think we should sort of cover off first how you actually got here, seeing as people might recall you've been around for a while.
Yeah, we should probably talk about the elephant in the studio, which is
it's not a big studio.
Halfway through 2024,
Yep.
Both you and I were facing redundancy.
Yep.
And, in business, people talk about that moment where you pivot to something else. But if you're in media halfway through 2024, there was not a lot to pivot to, right?
No.
We were both very, very lucky, I think, to be offered roles with NBR, 2 new roles too, you with the podcast, which has been amazing.
Thank you, mate.
Ka rawe. And me with being the Te Ao Māori editor, which was a new position for NBR. And when Todd Scott, the publisher and owner of NBR, asked me about it, I said, well, what do you think the Te Ao Māori editor for NBR means?
Yeah.
And he said, look, the Māori economy is growing. It's 77 billion or whatever. We need to be across some of this stuff. I said, great. To do that, I've also got to talk about Te Ao Māori and talk about issues that come up in the Māori world, because they're all connected. And that's something that I've been trying to build as we've gone through, this past year. It might be a story about the Kingi's Tangihanga, or it might be the hikoi, but these things have huge implications for Māori business.
Yep. Okay. That connectedness, as you say. But as soon as you stepped into the new role, you stepped into a big story as well.
Like
so tell me about that.
You, I got off to a flyer. You had Duval,
Yep.
and I had the Nelson Tents litigation, which is the country's oldest and probably likely to be most costly litigation against the Crown. Had the great opportunity to go down to Nelson and interview Carenza Johnson, who's the CEO of Wakatu Trust. They look after Te Tauihu, who are the iwis, or the group of Māori who are descendants from Māori who signed an agreement with the New Zealand company back in 1839. So that's how far it stretches back.
Yeah.
And they've been trying to get a tenth of the property that they were promised in that agreement ever since. It has gone on and on and on. A 2017 Supreme Court decision basically said, you're right. It wasn't a Waitangi tribunal dispute.
See, that's interesting, isn't it? That's why this makes it so unique in terms of a court case.
Yeah, it was a private breach of trust law case. And so went to the Supreme Court. They said, yes, you're absolutely right. They sent it back to the High Court for mitigations and remedies. The High Court judgment took a year to come out. So I went down there beforehand and did this preview story. When it came out, I thought, fantastic. It wasn't going to be billions. It's definitely going to be millions, possibly hundreds of millions, and a lot of land. Yeah. A lot of land. But, the Crown or the government has already put an appeal to that decision. So this long-running saga of litigation continues.
Yeah, so big story. And under your category of we move on and this is the biggest blunder, are you categorising the government's response in that way, or it's?
I think so. They'd already earmarked in the July budget that they were going to appeal this. It's like, at least sit at the table and see what Wakatu, see what the descendants want. Want in the future. You may have to strike an agreement of some sort, but to just blindly go straight into an appeal, I just think it's
going to drag on.
It's going to drag on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on then. Biggest winner is the next sort of category I quiz people about. What do you think has been the biggest sort of winner in terms of Te Ao Māori?
Well, I think probably the hikoi, Motutiriti.
Yep.
The Māori response to David Seymour's Treaty Principles Bill. I was there at the beginning of the year when Kingi Te Heitia, talked about kotahitanga, about Māori coming together, being Māori all day, every day. And it's just been overwhelming, the sense of unity across Māori. And you look at, the various hui that they've had, and then, of course, this hikoi, even the kingi's tangihanga. It's been this tremendous uplift. It's been a hell of a year to be a Te Ao Māori editor.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say,
yeah,
it's not a shortage of things to report about.
And
That's
I saw that amazing response. The 50,000 plus marching on to Parliament. I think second is my biggest blunder of the year was Christopher Luxon, the Prime Minister, not coming out to address the crowd.
Right. He
really could have. I mean, he doesn't want the bill anyway. Why didn't he
true.
just come out and say, well, look, it's a terrible bill. We aren't going to vote for it any further. We've got you. And you saw how well behaved the crowd was there. It has been throughout throughout this whole period. Every single who you've gone to, it's been so respectful.
Yep.
Even at Waitangi. And so, he could have just come out and done that, and it would have given them so much goodwill. He didn't.
You raised an interesting point about tactics there, because Luxon did step onto the par, I think, down, I'm not sure whether it was Ratana or somewhere else this year, and say, we're not going to support it. I think he did it also at the Kingitanga as well.
Yeah, well, he spoke at the King's Tangihanga, his funeral, and it was, to be honest, I think it's the first time I've actually seen him speak off script,
right,
with emotion, and there was clearly a bond between the two of them. And a lot of people I was there standing next to that, oh wow, this is pretty cool. He really got it. And so, but he's lost all that again.
Yeah.
He should have been there on the forecourt of Parliament addressing them.
Wow, it was a massive moment, all those people down at the hikoi there. Let's move on, though. There must have been some other memorable moments this year.
One more thing about the hikoi.
Oh, yes.
and there's been some great comments, by our subscribers to some of my stories. But
yes.
one of my favourite ones actually comes from that hikoi, and I covered the march over the bridge, which was amazing. But I think my headline was thousands march across the bridge, in support of the hikoi. One of our erstwhile subscribers said in the comments section, or the alternate headline could be, millions didn't.
Well, accurate.
But I'll just keep chipping away, Simon. This is what I'm here for.
And thank you to the subscribers for, for commenting. Thank you.
It's a whole new book and whole new podcast in the comments section. There you go.
Maybe we should do that sometime. We just get them read out.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously we did mention the Māori king passing away. You were down there for that as well.
Yeah, it was an incredible time. The manaakitanga, the welcoming, the hospitality of Waikato Tainui there. It was just incredible. I mean, they had more than 100,000 people go through the marae over that 7-day period. It was covered globally. I actually did a couple of reports into the BBC about the death of the king. And then, of course, you had this magical, uplifting moment at the saddest time when his daughter, Ngā Waihono Te Pō, was named as the new queenie of Māoridom. And, she's 27. Yeah. She's the average age of Māori in New Zealand, the average age. So there's just been this upswell. Again, I talk about this wider of the spirit amongst Māori. That we've been feeling this past year, and one of them is our rangatahi, our kohanga generation, as it's being called, coming to the fore. And no more so than Ana Rafiri Mapai Clark.
Yes. Yes, you should talk about her, because that haka that she did at Parliament just went around the world, didn't it? Oh.
Yeah, it was astonishing, and it was just, it was just done so beautifully and with so much power. You think of all the work that went in behind the scenes for that bill to be read out in Parliament, and then in 2 minutes, she just stole it. She stole that thunder, and it's the crazy thing about it going all around the world is that you are now getting the tiriti explainers from people in the US and Canada and Ireland, and it's almost got to the point where more people outside of New Zealand know actually details about te tiriti than we do. And a lot of this thing, and a lot of the reason for my job is that our teaching of Māori history and Māori Crown history has been so appalling. It's just been so bad. I got nothing when I was growing up in this country, absolutely nothing. There's probably, that kōhanga generation I'm talking about now, well, for the non-Māori population, they've started learning our history, and that's got to be a good thing.
You're here also to report the facts and figures as well, aren't you?
So
this
is
the
details.
The details, those things. But this is the Māori economy. Do people realise how big the Māori economy is? I mean, I know you've been talking to a couple of the biggest iwi about this.
Yeah, look, I don't think they do. I think we've got a new report coming out, the Te Ohanga Māori report from MB, early in the new year. They released a bit of a snapshot of what's happening with there, and it's pretty amazing. I think in 5 years, as a percentage of the GDP, the Māori economy has gone from 6.5 to 8.4%.
Oh, wow!
In 5 years, and then also the asset base for Māori has gone from, in that 5 years, 69 billion to 119 billion. So it's moving at a much quicker rate than the normal
the general economy. Yeah,
the general economy.
Yeah,
and I think there's a lot of reasons for that. That you're seeing this kōtahitanga or mahitahi, that togetherness, with a lot of what Māori are doing. So they'll look at someone else, another Māori business to partner with. You're looking at iwi now that this year of kōtahitanga has happened. And it wasn't that long ago where you couldn't have Ngāti Whātua Ōrākei and Waikato Tainui sitting next to each other at a pai,
really?
at a hui. No.
Yeah. No.
So this is new, but now all of a sudden, Ngā Pui are coming down and saying, "Oh, should we have a chat with you about putting in some roading?" And these conversations are now happening, which is going to accelerate that as well. So it's a very, very exciting time.
And looking ahead also to 2025, are you talking about the broader Māori economy? Is there any sort of particular event that you got your eye on?
I think Waitangi's going to be huge again,
Yeah.
obviously. It was massive last year. I'm looking forward to popping up there again and seeing what's going on. Te Mātatini is in February as well,
Right.
and that is just tremendous. It's such a great celebration of Te Ao Māori. They're expecting 27 million to be injected into the Taranaki region over that time. 27 million.
27 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's lots to look forward to. There's the treaty principles bill, which we're going to
Yes,
we're going to watch with interest as
Keep
that
talking about that
goes
one.
through the
Yeah.
select committee. And we've also got a few decisions to be made too on the MACA or customary marine title bill or amendments to that bill as well. So
So much going on.
I know.
What a time to be Te Ao Māori editor at NPR.
What a time. Kārawe.
Well, that wraps up your episode, Mike. I'm afraid we've got to pull the plug now.
Can't believe that.
Because people have Barbies to go to.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. Can I just say you've done a wonderful job with the podcast
thanks,
too. I
mate.
feel
Yeah.
very proud to have you again as my colleague. We've been colleagues for a long, long time.
We have.
So this is awesome.
Another year. Here we come. All right. Hey, thanks for coming onto the pod.
My pleasure.